Hello,
And
today
okay, sorry.
today is the 17th of January, so it's great we have come here to do a handover about MP start is basically the backend piece. Okay, come, go ahead.
Okay, I haven't been in touch with the project for a long time. So I logged to the server a while ago as we were exchanging emails. So it seems that the basic infrastructure is still intact, but my knowledge of it is dated. So like I can describe to you how it used to work, like that Circle CI action was built in the container images, and that there is a Docker Compose on the server, stuff like that. But if you have any updates on the like infrastructure changes, or if you've done anything to it that's different now, you should tell me. And also, I'm not clear on like to whom I'm doing the handover. Like, is it?
Yeah, I think we skipped the.
Is it Alfonso?
I think we skipped some of the parts, right? Like the most important parts, right?
Because what I understood was that Rado wants to add Vaultfly, like certain version of Vaultfly to certain version of MicroProfile. Like he wants to do an update. Yeah. But I haven't heard any.
Yeah, so that's why I proposed to actually start. Right, so that's why I proposed to like start the call. So there are more problems, right? So the current version that is deployed is only going up to MicroProfile 5.0, which is like a long time ago. So first of all, we kind of need to like redeploy something that supports, you know, whatever 6 and 7, right? So 7 being the latest and greatest, and we already have implementations. I think Wildfly is now the second one that is asking for the certification, right? So there's already Open Liberty. So what the whole premise why I started this discussion, right, is what needs to happen and what can be done to actually get this project sort of up to date. And I think there's another problem, right? So this backend is actually used by some of the services, like the IntelliJ plugin is actually using, I suppose, using this REST API. Yes. So all of these needs to be, you know, modernized and brought up to date. So that's one thing. And moreover, like the project itself, so I just had like a little bit of time to look at this. So it's not really well managed, right? So like the SCM practices that are being in place, those are really, really horrible. I'm really disgusted. So there's like one pull request that is coming with like 30 commits that should have been squashed and merged. The CI is broken. I think this is the Open Liberty one that tests are failing. How can you merge anything if the CI is broken? That's very problematic as well. And of course, the entire application is very dated. It's still using the JavaX namespace. It should be migrated to Jakarta. Moreover,
yeah, we need to remove Thorntail.
So that's why
it should never have really. I am not a huge fan of Thorntail. I think it was a kind of a well, someone recorded the call anyway. So this should be, you know, migrated to like a more recent and supported environment. And again, like if Emily mentioned that you guys want to move to Open Liberty, right? So that's not something that I can, or you know, I have time to like help it. But if we make a decision to use some of the technologies that I'm an expert in, like, I don't know, like Wildfly or Quarkus, if we use that as a runtime in production. And if I understand correctly, like the project is actually designed in a way it can run on any of those runtimes, or is it always running on Thorntail?
In the past, it's running on Thorntail and Liberty.
I think by default.
By default, Thorntail, yes.
Yeah, by default, Thorntail, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So that's another problem. So when you run the Maven, it doesn't have like a default profile. It just fails. So there's like really bad practice. But I assume this was done so that there like some backend is not favored or something. I don't know. Is that intentional? Why like Maven install doesn't work?
That's been a thing. So if you do -p Thorntail, you start the test suite with Thorntail. It's been deployed as Thorntail, but locally you could start it with Open Liberty too.
Yeah.
And then there is like a 3 years old or 2 years old pull request that migrated to a Quarkus at the time, like, so it's ancient
Yeah, very
Quarkus
dated.
right now. But the app uses JSF, and at the time that rendered quite well, slightly differently on Open Liberty and on Quarkus. And my GSF experience was mostly cargo culting, what Rudy did. So I wasn't able to like fix the situation where some corners were rounded in Open Liberty, and Quarkus did with the UI something slightly different. So I would like to have a person with whom I could work to have it properly maintained, to bring it up to date, and to migrate it to whatever runtime that person prefers. So if it's you, Alfonso, working on Open Liberty, or if it's Rado doing Quarkus, it's all fine.
Regarding that, regarding that, I tried to advance with the Open Liberty, but I'm still with some issues on my local environment to run the test. So something that I need to investigate, and probably I will fix in the following days. But yeah, I need to advance more with that.
And
the
test suite is also dated, but it's kind of the main point of the test suite is that it runs all the runtimes. It physically downloads the artifacts. It downloads the generated demonstration code the app creates, and it runs all those runtimes. So if you touch the starter and you fix something for Open Liberty, and you make like 3 of 5 of the other runtimes fail because the REST client example code suddenly doesn't do the client server well anymore, that's an issue. And just I run the test suite some hours ago, and it on the current master it fails. And that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. Like this stuff shouldn't be merged. Stuff that is not passing CI shouldn't be merged. So here's the whole set of problems, right? That like I have enumerated, right? So what I am offering to the table, right, is if you know, I guess I can like spearhead this whole thing in a way that we can like redeploy with, you know, some runtime. Well, it will have to be like Wi-Fi or Quark. It's probably Wi-Fi because this is just an, you know, this is an enterprise application, right? It's like a normal JSF kind of standard thing with a REST endpoint, right? Like this can run on anything quite easily. So I assume like this can be run on Wildfly, right? Or is there, Michael, like some sort of problem why it shouldn't?
No,
are you aware of any of the?
There ain't anything exotic. And even the DynamoDB thing, back in the day, I just I didn't even use the client library. I just generate like web requests from the app to talk to the API. So there is not many dependencies. But again,
that code is it part of the starter or is it like somewhere else?
It's all in the starter.
Okay, I see it here. Yeah, okay.
So it's actually for the getting the running on the runtime is not a big issue. No, the big issue is some tests randomly fail and quite difficult to debug. That's the issue. I don't know how many also it's kind of the in the past I think is one PR was merged is because that PR it has a lot of commit and people couldn't make a further progress. And then we said, okay, we don't even know whether we can basically it's we don't plan to release anything I mean in the short while before we can fix the things. And then also that kind of test cannot be replicated locally. So without I mean any kind of the people who was I mean a maintainer in this project are no longer here, and it's really difficult to debug the things. So now
I
it's
feel
kind
you.
of
Like when Cumuluzi fails, you need to find someone who understands why this particular version suddenly doesn't take the HTTP port as a parameter and suddenly it expects it in a file somewhere. If I was to, or if I were to update the project right now, the first step for me would be to check, I guess, with you, Emily, like which MicroProfile versions are really necessary to have there, because the code
Yeah,
is
like pruning definitely needs to happen.
the code is kind of riddled with those exceptions that like up until MicroProfile 3.0 we used to have some specs with some demo code, but then later there was another set of specs and etc. So this makes it more complicated unnecessarily. And the test suite, obviously, it runs all those things. It runs ancient version of Tommy with like MicroProfile 1.2 or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly the basic issue. Too many kind of flavors. And let me share my screen. And then what I'm thinking, maybe the kind of maybe we yeah we do have a plan to prune this further. Share. Like this all these versions 5. Maybe we just do a photo 1.5. Photo 1 at least JavaX namespace. 5 is the Jakarta. And then the kind of the maybe all the rest we can just delete them. I will bring this forward for the next call. Okay, I will read this in the Google forum to see what people think. And with this probably is kind of we'll have a less here, wildfly is here, less kind of the concern. And then like and then easier for example Afonso to add a Payara here.
And
for
is it
5.
Although is it true, like is it true that OpenLiberty is the only runtime support in MicroProfile 5.0? I don't think it's true.
It's not true.
Yeah, we have more.
Yeah, it's not true. However, it's not like anybody here is trying to basically actively to add in runtimes. It's kind of the company is to basically to put their runtime here. So basically it's in compatible implementations, for example, photo 1, and there's a lot more. So basically they have to is a contributor to that, because only basically the company who support this, they know exactly what version to put in the starter. So I think
if I were the owner of this project, I would delegate this to the actual containers, right? I mean, they're doing the certification, they're running the TCK, they're running the test. If they wanted to be included in the starter, just do the work, submit the pull request, submit the tests, give us the versions, as Emily's saying, and I would put this responsibility onto kind of them. Of course, like if it's easy, if it works, then why not? But
yeah, that's a process. So basically they so that's exactly documented in the wiki. Like when they do the certification process, like the first they do the CCR. Once the CCR accept it, they have an announcement, and then the final step for them is I send the link to you. I don't know whether you read that or not. So the
so I read it
step,
until the part where I submitted everything, but
okay.
I haven't done what happens afterwards.
Yeah, the final step is for them to come back to this to MP starter to add their runtime. So with that, because in our certification, we say in photo 1 is the early version, I think it would be fine to just to keep photo 1 and 5 and delete all the rest. So with that, the test will less, the combination will have a less matrix. The matrix is smaller.
So
but
definitely
anyway,
some sort of pruning needs to happen for sure. Like nobody's going to start with a MicroProfile 1.0.
Yeah,
it's not a real
exactly.
use case.
Exactly. So so this is one thing. The second, so basically we have we got all these issues. We have the pruning, we have issues on adding the latest MP releases. Also, we have an issue to add a new Java level. So basically Java 17, Java 21. This is all kind of held behind, also we need basically the way to update the live version. So it's okay, use the next the 40 minutes to have a look at the backend. The can you tell us basically once we are happy with the current basically the branch, and then what to happen next to push to the basically the live to the backend.
Okay.
So I think we kind of need to solve the runtime kind of issue first, right? I mean, do you still feel like deploying Torntail today?
No, the runtime one. No, runtime one
that's
is
crazy, right?
And can I stop you, Emily, for a second?
Yeah.
Back in the day, there was this huge issue that I had to get an approval on Eclipse Bugzilla for every single dependency change. Like that was also a thing, like that all transitive dependencies pulled by the build, like basically go in Maven dependency, go offline, had to be approved in an Eclipse Foundation Bugzilla. We dealt with that back in the day with Cesar. And is this policy still in action, or is it not? And other question was, we weren't allowed to use GitHub Actions back in the day. So we used and we weren't allowed to change this setting on the MicroProfile starter. So we used this kind of a hack that the changes on master were, and they still are to this day, synchronized to my private fork, not private, but to my own fork on GitHub. And then the deployment action run from my own fork. And I can see that to this day, it's still running. And I still have the synchronization cron job on my server. Is this something we could get rid of? Like these days, are we allowed to just use GitHub Actions on the Eclipse MicroProfile starter project?
They're running there, so
I think so. I think we can do the GitHub Actions. For doing this, do you also need to admin access, right? Are you saying you need to update the settings?
Yes. The thing is that that I needed to access the settings to include secrets in the project, so as it could use an SSH key to to talk to the server to make it pull the new images, well, basically to control the systemd. That's how the automation works on the project. That if you make a release, it builds containers, it pushes the containers, and then it talks to the server and tells it to restart the systemd service, and that controls the containers running on the servers on the server, and they pull the updated images. So I can see that there are GitHub actions running on the project now, but
yeah,
I don't know whether we can access the project's settings, like to be able to add some secrets to it.
Well, you can do it per repository, right? So definitely somebody here is like admin on the.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
So they did not give us any admin. So I can get in touch with them, and I can allow them to give us a temporary admin, so that you can see the settings, and then add the like SSH keys and etc. And then they will have to remove us. So this can be done. I will email them, put you on CC.com, and then
okay, that would
they give us
simplify
a
things.
very narrow window for us to do things.
Okay.
Okay, I will.
So then there's like no updating. Once you set up, that's it. It's set in stone. Is that how all the repositories actually are set up?
Yes.
Like there's only
yeah.
like
Now the repository, you are allowed to do any settings. We are not the admin. So Eclipse Foundation has an admin. The only, yeah.
Okay.
Particular
Well,
infrastructure team.
It's an improvement. It's much better than a ban on GitHub Actions, or
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
but the problem is that, like these repositories, they're all under Eclipse organization. So like they run out of the limit very quickly. So that's why like we're going to like move all these repositories to MicroProfile organization, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we moved to MicroProfile. However, they still control it. We still don't have admin.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But,
yeah.
But at least it's in a better place.
Yeah, each individual. The other things that come for the using the third-party libraries and etc. I don't think that's an issue anymore. They have a better, it's a big improvement about third-party libraries. And anyway, this is not spec. We're not releasing kind of a standard or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lesser concern.
I can see that the action that actually deploys the new container image is in the Circle CI YAML and not in the GitHub action YAML. So perhaps, yeah, it looks like it still relies on the Circle CI. Okay, that needs some digging though, because I can't see it in my Circle CI. Okay, well, basically we just need to get rid of this to have it as a normal GitHub action.
Okay. So I go to job in a minute. So there, let me quickly answer Rado's question regarding which server to run on. So at the moment, Alfonso has done a lot of changes and trying to get running on Liberty. However, if you want to start to see whether you can get on the Wildfly, and go ahead and to see whether you can make any progress. But
yeah, there's definitely like no harm on like supporting more, right? It's more than a question like which ones actually run in production, right?
Especially for debugging issues and etc. You can easily deploy to the, it's a WAR file anyway. Deploy to the server you want to run against. So hopefully Alfonso will make a good progress in the next week or so. We can kind of get that delivered. And then once that in, pretty much basically it will be a Jakarta namespace and etc. And then we can do the prone and do the Java and adding new runtime. That's no problem.
Yeah, that's the plan, I think. Yeah, after advancing with the Open Liberty runtime, I think we can move forward with the others. Yeah, creating more issues. Yeah, creating more issues on the GitHub page, and then continue with the other runtimes.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, I got to go, and then probably we need another call, even though this 1 hour. So do you think it's we can have the same time next week?
And I would feel better if we could have an email thread with Alfonso, because on the email thread we have currently Alfonso isn't CC'd on it. And go from there. Like, I find it more efficient.
Okay, we can do the offline basic conversation. That's fine too.
My commitment right now is to untangle the project from dependency on anything under my account or my credentials. So I will ask you, Emily, to create a window during which either you or me or someone could edit the secrets, and I will give you a private key that would be stored there as a secret, so as we can talk to the server where it runs.
Okay.
So like, sorry, but the pipeline works in what fashion? Like what is the trigger that triggers like the redeploy?
Well, the last time I worked with it, when the pull request was merged to master, there was a build and redeploy of the staging instance, like of the test instance of the container that's publicly available. And whenever you manually triggered a workflow of some particular tag, you did release to the main site.
So tag is the thing that deploys.
And those are both containers, and they both run on a small server, because the app doesn't need anything. It doesn't need any cluster. Like even under quite some load, it didn't saturate the server even. So it's a small thing.
So no Ketascaler in Kubernetes and.
I'm not laughing, because I was asked about that back in the day, and no, that there is no cluster, because there is no point in clustering this system. So
yeah, which by the way is my main domain, so that's why.
Yeah, you can go nuts.
There's no state to replicate either, right? So.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is no state. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You all continue talk, and then Tom, if you can give them a quick overview about the backend and etc. and the test the and etc. That would be great.
One thing, Emily, can we provide some document, cloud document to summarize all the things we talked here, or just the video? I don't know, recording.
Cloud doc.
Yeah,
does Zoom do the AI? Don't know. I think I just a recording.
Oh, okay, only the recording.
Okay, I got to go. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh.
Bye. Okay.
Yeah, so but maybe the whole deployment thing can be revamped as well, or I don't know. Is it Do you think it needs like improvements or changes, or is it like good as is? Like whatever you set up, is that?
It's not, because it relies on Circle CI, and we need to move away from
horrible.
that.
Yeah.
But the idea of the app being a container controlled by Docker Compose, which is controlled by systemd on the server,
that's fine.
That works. I mean, if in the unlikely event of the application going down, oh, actually it happened back in the day, like it ohmed or something. The service gets restarted, but you retain all the logs, so you can dig into the logs. Like it was fine. And so I don't think that needs any radical changes. What needs some radical changes is the project itself, right? That needs updates. It has like two main parts. One deals with the GUI, and the other is like the REST API. And what's kind of confusing, it meshes all the files for all the example code into one directory with like templates. So you have all the files for all the projects as templates, and then there is a Timeleaf templating engine that substitutes things in those templates. So because while the code is supposed to be the same for all the runtimes, and that's kind of the point of them supporting the same MicroProfile spec, it's not entirely the case. There are small differences, and then of course there are differences in packages. There are differences in how each runtime is configured, whether web XML is expected and what should be in it and stuff like that. And to add more complexity, to demonstrate like client server behavior, if you select like a REST client demo code, two services, two applications are generated for you, like service A and service B. And that creates more complexity in the generator, because the user experience should be that you download the zip, you find two services in it, two directories, you go into the one directory, you run Maven, whatever the runtime expects, it's in the README file, and you go to the other directory in a different terminal window, you look at the README file, and you should be able to copy paste commands for the other service. So let's say port numbers in the README file must be correct. They are different for each service, and this differs from runtime to runtime. And then there are some changes in the templates for particular MicroProfile versions. So you can find directories like mp3_x, and then there are some files, because let's say service live health check application code is different now in this MicroProfile spec. It's hardly sustainable unless the new maintainer cuts a lot of old versions. Other than that, it's a traditional JSF application with a pretty simple workflow. And then there is the test suite. The test suite, it's kind of brittle, like it starts and terminates a lot of runtimes. And when it tests the service A, service B, it starts two different instances. So at some point you have your Maven project running, you like your Surefire test, you have the Torntail server running, and then you have two OpenLiberty instances running for the test. And this creates sometimes issues, like the OpenLiberty refuses to stop. And it's not only Maven. One of the options is to generate Gradle code too. And that I recall that being the most problematic, like that the Gradle build server got stuck on the system and stuff like that. So the test suite could use much more love.
I think one idea is to remove Gradle from the repository, I think, because it's not very most used. I think Maven is the tool that we need to maintain.
You mean for the actual, like not for the templates, right? People, because you can like select which one you want. You still want to keep the Maven and Gradle differentiation there, but like the project itself, the starter project itself, only use Maven.
Yeah, only use Maven.
Well, the starter project itself, it has always been using only Maven.
Only Maven. Okay, yeah. I don't see Gradle here either. Okay.
I don't recall it supporting Gradle ever. When I say Gradle, I say Gradle, I mean the generated examples, like that you pick
and I think I hear that on the other calls from the MicroProfile efforts. So basically, they want to remove all the Gradle stuff because it's not very, it's not used a lot.
Yeah.
But don't worry about that. It's just a comment.
And it's like if you don't know the runtime and you don't use Gradle, it's difficult to deal with it. I'm scrolling through the main test matrix. Yeah, and then like one last thing I would mention is that back in the day there was a designer from Tommy Tribe who created the assets for the web page, and we haven't touched those in a long time. And Rudy was the last person on the project.
Yeah, Rudy the Butcher, yes.
Yeah,
he was like, part of Payara.
Who was like knowledgeable about prime faces, JavaScript things, and why particular corner or drop-down menu looked certain way. I cargo culted a lot of things after him, but I wasn't able to like change some visual behavior that was different between Quarkus and OpenLiberty, stuff like that. So I have no deep knowledge about that. I really just cargo culted what he did. So there is a faces config XML. I recall I had to change it a lot to work with Quarkus. There are things in web XML to configure the prime faces and the prime faces fonts and prime faces behavior. Yeah. that we jokingly mentioned context, and there is no context. The app doesn't store any state. It generates the zip files and serves them to users. And logging takes place in one class, DynamoDB logger, and that class just creates a JSON, and it creates a header signature, and it creates a request, and it pushes that request to AWS DynamoDB. So even the sign-in, like I coded it by hand on 300 lines, and there is no dependency on any like AWS SDK or something like that. It's very simple. Because the requirement was very simple, like it was just push one JSON per download to tell us which MicroProfile version was used, which server, which Java version, and which projects were, like which demo projects, demo code was selected. And either Cesar or Emily, they had some marketing ideas about that to promote the project and how MicroProfile is used, and to gauge like how many users migrated to more recent MicroProfile specs, etc. And to read the results, there is no management interface, or there is no like admin login to the website. The way we used to get the results was through AWS CLI, talking directly to the DynamoDB and fetching a giant JSON and processing it locally with JQ. It was fine for the volume of data that was there. It was like there were some thousands of downloads or stuff like that. So and you could also talk to the DynamoDB in a slightly smarter way. Like you could tell it query to the JSON documents, and then it doesn't send you back the whole thing. It just sends you back the result. So I can see that my pull request to migrate the project to Quarkus is still open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one is very old, 2 years older. So
2022.
I don't know who is going to approve this. Emily has the permissions or
no? My pull request, pull 469 from April 2022, is obviously not fit to be merged, but I'm bringing it up not out of any kind of sourness, but just to gauge the volume of changes it required to migrate away from Torntail. I can see a lot of changes there, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, Alfonso. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. Alfonso.
Yeah, Alfonso. Yeah. I started to review it, but not I didn't review the whole thing because I did something similar with the
Yes.
Open Liberty, but yeah, I'm still in progress. But yeah, I will verify.
Yeah, just that it could be helpful for anyone who migrates away from Torntail. Scrolling through it, it reminds me that there is also Windows, right? So the test suite and the test matrix also runs on Windows. And to to be fair, the users.
Oh, it's pretty crazy.
The users were using either Windows workstations or Mac workstations. Like it was just us or me running Linux workstation. So the Windows CI was pretty important to function. And there it was kind of difficult to nail the test suite, like the classic Windows issues, like brittleness in touching directories or files that are being used by a process, etc. Like these things we've all battled many times in the past. Yeah. End of my monologue.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Well, it all sounds like a too much work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the result of the migration was that I wasn't able to create a JSF config that would be acceptable both for Quarkus at the time and for Liberty at the time. So while the website looked correct on Quarkus, when you run the project with Open Liberty, the web page looked weird, as Emily noted with a screenshot. But that's for someone else to nail down, or to relax the requirement that the starter project itself has to be completely runtime agnostic, which I understand that kind of violates the message of MicroProfile, but then again, GSF isn't part of MicroProfile, right? So
yeah,
perhaps we don't have to be that strict when it comes to GSF and the visual of drop-down menus. And now I'll have to Google whether JSF is in MicroProfile, but I hope it's not.
Well, it's in the Jakarta spec, Java EE spec.
Yeah, Jakarta.
So and MicroProfile kind of like builds on selected specs, right? So.
And you mentioned, Alfonso, that you have something working locally and that you keep hitting issues. What are those? Could you?
My current issue is to, for some reason, is not correctly set a property. What is the name of the property? Is a property for Open Liberty to indicate the target folder. If I wrong, is the let me check the name. MP home, I think MPL home.
Well, could you give me your email? I'll add you to an email thread we have
Okay,
with
got
Emily.
it. Yes, let me write on the chat.
Yeah, that would be great. And I know that Emily would she would like to have a call, but email works much better for me.
Yeah, I wrote on the chat.
Okay, I got it. I'll add you to the email thread we have. And if you could copy paste
the error, yes.
The error, I will reply like that I can promise that perhaps not right now, right away, but I won't leave you hanging. So if you like to copy paste errors you got, I eventually will look at them and reply you back. And that works much better for me than hopping on calls.
Okay, good.
So call to action for me is to remove any dependency on anything tied to my own account. And for you guys, I guess it's to decide who or whether you would like to work on migration away from Turntail. And we can deal with these things in the email thread.
Yeah,
I think I can get this migrated to Wildfly very quickly.
Great.
That's but of course take this is extremely naive, and Alfonso probably knows how naive that is because he tried it himself.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that misguided like an idea, because like migrate a JSF app on Turntail, it used to be a natural path to migrate to Wildfly. It was quite unnatural to try to jam a JSF application into Quarkus. So that's why the pull request is so huge, I guess. And I suspect that it's also kind of trouble to make it work in OpenLiberty, but the migration path of an JSF application with Turntail to Wildfly, it could be the smoothest one.
Easiest.
Yeah, because Wildfly is a very good runtime for faces, if I'm not wrong, yeah? Wildfly support Jakarta faces.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, should be fine.
And
so maybe that's a way to go with this. Like first migrate to Wildfly, then Alfonso can finish the
Open Liberty thing.
And of course, I'm not promising anything, but it sounds like something reasonable. And then, so when you have
is the recording still on?
I don't know.
I don't know how this works. I've never used Zoom. This is my first Zoom call.
Yeah, I can see this meeting is being recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still.
Could you repeat, Rado, again? What were you saying about what you are going to do or not?
Yeah, I'm going to try to like migrate this to Wildfly. I mean, let's see what happens. Let's see how complicated this is. And if that works, I think that's pretty easy then to like migrate to other, well, not migrate, but also support Liberty. I don't know if people want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, you can follow my PR and also the current PR to see.
Yeah, I did look at
similar things we did regarding to migrate.
Yeah, but so Quarkus include also the namespace change to Jakarta?
Yes.
Or was it on? Oh, okay. So I did quite a few migrations to Jakarta and was always very easy.
Yeah. You just need to grade the dependencies and just remove all the Jakarta thing. Sorry, Javax to Jakarta.
Yeah, as it's coming to me in flashbacks, I really recall that the biggest issue was the JSF, that.
Yeah, that's the hardest.
Yeah, I fixed the problem with the on the dependency of prime faces to just make what is the name of the change on the POM? On the dependency, you need just the classifier. You just need to put the classifier on a specific version of prime faces, and that will fix the problem of the namespace.
Classifiers.
Okay. Yes, classifiers.
So now I recall yet another issue with the project, and that was some runtimes had an exact version in the generator, And other runtimes like OpenLiberty insisted on having an open interval in the Maven dependency. So when you run the test suite 2 days from now, you could get a different OpenLiberty than 2 days ago. So suddenly there was a fail in the CI and you didn't know whether it was some environment glitch or whether it was a new OpenLiberty version. So you went to the logs and you were like, okay, there is now an OpenLiberty update and something is different. And yeah, so that was also an issue. And frankly, like to maintain all the runtimes, like I recall figuring out how to even configure Cumulo-Z to boot, and then there was some runtime from Fujitsu and stuff like that. It was convoluted. Okay, I added you to the email thread.
Yeah, please.
And
and I will continue with my current PR to fix the current problem I have regarding this property. Is the MP, I have here the name of the property, is the, let me share to you, WLP home. So I have problems to run my test locally because I can set this property. I use the Archelian configuration file and I put the property, but for some reason is not get from the runtime and I cannot set. So I need to investigate more how to provide that and put the correct value and take that on the runtime to test the project. So yeah, that's the current issue I have.
Yeah, I'm not sure what VLP is.
I think it's the Wi-Fi installation. Yeah, when you use the Maven builder plugin, automatically is downloading, I think, one version of the Liberty and then is put on a folder and then that is used on the runtime to run the test. Yeah, I need to investigate more.
yeah, and I also recall that Valvefly, like the generator for Valvefly used like the module system of Valvefly. And yeah, and that was kind of problematic too at some point.
You mean like the layers or?
I don't know what's called now. Yes, I guess layers. Like that one option was to include all and to have it run in. And I didn't want to do that. So I was in touch with...
I'm the proud owner of that bit. I'm author. That's like a MicroProfile platform that gives you everything.
I was in touch with some person some French guy. And
Jean-François Denis.
Yeah, Jean-François Denis, that was him. And I got it working that only the layers needed by the example projects were included to make it as small as possible. And that also made it quite convoluted.
Yeah. So I'm just looking, so the end result of like this whole building thing, right, is like the container image in the end. So it really doesn't matter what runtime it is. It's just as long as the start script or what, I mean, not even the start script, right? As long as there is like a Docker file that builds the resulting thingy, it doesn't matter what's in it. It just starts, right?
Doesn't matter if it's Turntail or Valvefly or OpenLiberty.
Because I'm thinking, so for Valvefly, there's so many ways you can provision it. You can provision in the legacy way. You can do the sort of what they call like the hollow jar in Turntail, or you can do a provide the layers that you want and just like, or have the layers automatically discovered, sort of like and you can even like build the Valvefly image in the end, so you don't even have to have a Docker file yourself. So there's like so many things you can do with Valvefly that I guess it doesn't matter, right? So bootable jar is the new name for it. So I guess the bootable jar and just start sh and then problem solved. Yeah, I mean, I can have a look and let's see how that goes. So the thing that I'm mostly worried about is like open and pull requests that nobody merges. That's why I like to like contribute to projects where I have commit rights. I mean, the same goes for others, right? If somebody's contributing, I want their work to be, acknowledged and merged. And so I'm not really But the last thing that Emily merged, I mean, that was horrible. There was like 30 commits. There was like everybody was trying like a new line just to get the CI passing. That's no way to manage software. So I'm a little bit worried like how easy it is to work with this community, right? And to get things actually moving. But I see like Michal, you committed a lot of things and you don't seem to have like problems like getting things merged.
Well, at some point I had to be vetted as a MicroProfile committer for this. And I hope that's not necessary anymore.
And what was like needed to get
like
vetted?
People voted, I guess, but back in the day, I don't know what's the process right now. But basically, it was like I was ready to code a large portion of the project with Rudy, and Rudy supported me so as I could do it, and so we did it. But Emily knows all the operation stuff now. I'm not up to date on it. So are you okay if I post this to the email thread? It's in the Zoom chat right now.
Yeah, sounds good.
Alfonso, are you okay with it?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, and Radoslav, yeah, is correct.
Yeah,
yeah, I remember why Emily approved the previous PR. As you said, we had a lot of commits and a lot of issues during that time, and she decided that because the problem of the timeout is only replicated is complicated to replicate on local environment, because I tried to test the latest changes on my local and worked well, but when trying to build on the CI cycle, some problems were found, were thrown by the process. So Emily decided to merge that and then continue with the improvements and fix all the other problems just using OpenLiberty. And that was the latest thing mentioned by Emily. And that's why I created the other PR, but it's still in progress. Yeah, but I remember this case.
Yeah, so like getting the CI stable seems to be like quite a topic here, right? And I think especially the problem that Michal mentioned with things getting dynamic versions loaded. Like I don't think that's really the right way to go about this. So I think the version should be fixed and should be coming from what's called Dependabot and actually be statically updated. So you're running against the static list. Yeah, I mean, it's just like we've all sort of have to go through this journey and sort of realize like it's important to have like deterministic tests rather than be chasing somebody else's releases, right? And their own mistakes. And I think one thing that should be established in the project should be like, okay, so who's responsible for kind of what runtime, and they should like manage their aspects of their implementation rather than one person doing it everything.
So recording is stopped right now or not?
It's still